here's what I would say Howard Stern is, if he's an NFL quarterback. He's Kirk Cousins.
You know what? That's actually not a bad choice.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Nick DiMartino. That's Nick Morgasen. This is another edition of Moving the Goalpost. You can follow us. You can follow this podcast across social media at MTGPETB. You can follow the Empty the Bench Network across social media at ETB Network. You can follow me on Twitter at Nick DiMart. You can follow Nick at Morgasen Radio. You can watch all Empty the Bench shows on YouTube.com/ETB Network, and you can listen to Moving the Goalpost wherever you get your podcast. And make sure to like and subscribe. And Moving the Goalpost is presented by Playback. Stay tuned for later in the show to find out more. All right. So it's middle of the summer, and there's a whole lot of sports media news. So ESPN and Fox just combined for the direct-to-consumer and Fox One packages. So you can buy both of them you can buy both of them now. This is kind of interesting. So I don't have either one of these things, but it seems like the direct-to-consumer, I know the NFL Network is going to be on. Although, did ESPN start the direct-to-consumer yet?
August 21st.
Okay, so they didn't even start it yet. And Fox One, I don't even know what's on that.
I don't think Fox One is live yet either. But
okay,
this is a deal that they're working on as a combo. Now, I was telling you before we started, if you remember Venue, which was that thing Fubo was working on to get Fox and to get ESPN and to get all the platforms on one singular platform. Well, unfortunately, it got knocked to the ground because of monopolistic tendencies, because everyone was saying, well, if you guys put it all together, then where are all our platforms going to come in the mix? If you're going to put everything on one platform, because then everyone's just going to start cord cutting everything else, because that we live in a cord cutting society now where we don't. How much of us watch cable anymore or TV anymore to a T? Most people don't, unless you're an old person. Not offending old people, by the way. Just making a point that, like us, and then people younger than us, they don't even know what a cable package is or a TV package is. They just know, oh, I can buy an app or I can buy a streaming service and I can watch all the sports content that I want to watch. Why do I need to buy a cable package that has Fox News, CNN, NBC, when I could just watch sports?
Right.
But I have some of the headlines here. So both Disney's ESPN and the app shares the same name as the TV network, and Fox's Fox One will launch. Let me take that back. They both launch on August 21st. Both the D2C and the Fox One platform. So actually, it makes sense that they're working together.
And what will be on each of these platforms?
So it says they're going to be ready for college football and the NFL seasons. The bundle will be available on October 2nd and cost $39.99 per month. Separately, Fox One and ESPN cost $19.99 and $29.99 per month, respectively. I'm just trying to read quickly to see if there's anything.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
I mean, combined, it's a good deal. I don't understand why the two separately, one costs more than the other. But it says ESPN's flagship service will be an all-in-one app that includes all of its live sports and programming from its TV networks, including ESPN2 and the SEC network, as well as ESPN on Disney-owned ABC. The app will also have fantasy products, new betting tie-ins, studio programming, and documentaries. ESPN will also offer its app as a bundle with Disney's other streaming services, Disney Plus and Hulu, for $36 a month. The Disney bundle will cost a discounted $30 a month for the first 12 months, and the same as the standalone app. The Fox One service, however, will be different. Fox had been on the sidelines of the direct-to-consumer streaming for years after its competitors launching their platforms. So it says Fox is moving to the D2C streaming game outside of the Fox Nation app and the free ad-supported streamer Tubi came after it's abandoned its efforts to launch Venue, which was that joint effort with Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery. Basically, they're going to do the same thing, but they're combining the efforts.
But now, a lot of the Fox stuff, that's not all sports, is it?
Well, Fox Nation is a political app.
I know that. So when you get the combined package, you will also get Fox Nation?
I'm not 100. That I don't know.
Oh.
But it's just saying that they already do Fox Nation as a separate app.
Right.
I'm assuming that Fox One is probably the sports version for
because
themselves.
It wouldn't make sense if it was combining. I feel like this would be a sports thing. It wouldn't make sense to combine Fox Nation or whatever other non-sports things they do at Fox with whatever sports things they're doing at ESPN. So
Well,
I can imagine it's probably all sports.
But this goes back to the whole thing of, do we need a cable package? Because that's what it kind of feels like a little bit here. Because if you're sports fans like you and I are, do I really need CNN, Fox News, Fox Business? Do I need CNBC?
Bravo Network?
Bravo Network. Not that I was going to go there, but yeah. Do we need those channels? No. Like, we live in a society now where we have the ability to pick the channels we want to watch or the streaming services we want to pay for. So this makes a lot of sense. And part of it has to do with the next story as well.
Although I will say, I haven't done all the math, and it likely is more expensive to have a cable package than it is to have all the streaming services. But I will say, the way things are going now, if you wanted to be a cord cutter and you still want to watch all the sports, it's got to be very difficult to combine it's a whole mathematical equation to combine all of these different streaming platforms. Like, how hard is it? It's got to be hard to have enough streaming platforms to the point where you can watch all the sports you want to watch. Like, for me, it's like, how am I going to get SNY, the Yes Network, be able to watch all the Jet games? I forgot about MSG. How am I going to get SNY, the Yes Network, MSG, be able to watch all the Jet and Giant games, have Red Zone? It's like all of that combined, and also all the college football games, which, I'm going to need ESPN for. How am I going to get all those channels or all of those games with just the streaming platforms? Like, I haven't tried it, but that seems difficult to me.
I mean, I think eventually what's going to happen is you're going to see a version of where all the streaming stuff is going to have to go into one package place, almost like a former TV package or a cable package. I think eventually that's what's going to happen at some point, where someone's going to be smart enough to say, I'll make a vehicle to put all the streaming packages in, and then you could purchase that vehicle to watch. So you can treat it as like a channel changing device. Because now,
what's the closest thing we have to that now? YouTube TV?
Yeah, I would say so. Probably YouTube TV. I have YouTube TV. I will tell you, I was vehemently against it when I first got it. Now I love it.
Why did you get it if you were against it?
No. My parents got it because we cut Optimum. We cut the cord.
A lot of people are cutting Optimum. My parents cut Optimum too. Everybody's unhappy with that.
We were having issues, and then we had this weird thing happen with the TV where the sound would get delayed from the video, the picture.
Yeah.
And so we just said we had enough, and but what's great about YouTube, not that I'm doing a commercial for YouTube TV, but like, they have all the digital channels now. Like, I like watching DraftKings Network, or I like watching FanDuel TV. Like, it's all on that package.
You can watch the Dan Le Batard show on YouTube TV?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it has more options. It took me a while to get used to the non-channels thing at first, because YouTube TV doesn't have channels. But you can actually move the list around and put the sports channels on the top and move everything else down.
For me, the only reason I would get YouTube TV would be to watch sports.
Yeah.
But do you get access to all of the channel? Like for instance, you get access to like SNY, MSG, the Yes Network on YouTube TV? Oh, you don't.
Don't get SMY. I think we get, or no, I don't remember which one it is. It's one of them we don't get access to. I think we get SNY, we don't get the Yes Network. And I'm a Yankee fan, so
And a
that
Net
doesn't
fan.
really help me.
And a
But
net fan.
and a Net fan. But my point is, I think this is where we're going closer to the YouTube TV model than staying on cable.
Right.
And that's going to be the change that a lot of old people are not going to understand, because I have my remote. I want to watch CBS, NBC, ABC if I'm a football fan. Now I have to put Amazon in that mix. Like, what's Amazon? How do I watch football on Amazon?
Well, I got to tell you, like, people mock old people with it, but to be honest, I have trouble with some of this stuff too. I mean, like, if a Met game is on Apple TV, that is such a pain in the ass.
Well, not to toot the horn of a partner we work with, but like Playback makes that so much easier because we can watch all those games directly on, because they have blanket deals with MLB and NBA that surpass that Apple TV and Amazon. But my point is, you're right. There's too many streaming platforms that we have to purchase. Like, look at the NFL, for example. You need 8 platforms to watch every single NFL game this upcoming season.
Yeah, and it also just, the other reason is not just the inconvenience of it, because like, for instance, like this year, and by the way, I think this is a little bit of a tangent. I think it's absurd the NFL hasn't had Christmas Day games all along. I don't know why it took them so long to think of this. Like, you'd think they would have done it like decades ago.
I think it's because the NFL is a traditionalist when it comes to doing stuff, where they didn't do it for the longest time, so that was not their avenue. What they finally realized is, oh wait, we're missing out on a ton of money on a separate deal.
I'm sure they like money more than they like tradition.
No, I get that, but I'm saying for years, think about it. ESPN was out of the Super Bowl rotation for how many years? And because they didn't want to deal with ESPN for a very long time.
Yeah.
Now they're in bed with ESPN starting in 2026. They're going to take over Red Zone. They're going to do, we talked about this last week, but basically now ESPN's their favorite partner all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, but like my point is though, like I was thinking, like, it would be so much easier if the NFL Christmas Day games were on cable instead of Netflix, so you can flip back and forth between the NBA the basketball games and the football games. So you at least have a lot. It's a lot easier than just being on Netflix. Like, it's such a pain in the ass to go from Netflix back to cable and then back to Netflix. It's not like changing channels. There's got to be some type of mechanism that makes that process a lot easier.
Well,
and I'm not the only one who thinks it. Like, I am not the only person who wanted to watch the basketball games and the football game.
No, I agree with you totally. You're not wrong, but I'm going to use your argument against you partially, which is that they love money more than convenience. Basically, that they took a Netflix deal because that paid them more money probably than they were going to get for any exclusive deal.
Well, I'm not saying the NFL should be the ones who set this up, but there's got to be some type of setting you have on your TV that can just make it easy to go from Netflix to cable without it being such a hassle.
Well, you're talking about like what I said earlier, which is taking all the streamers and turning it into its own like cable functional package where you can flip the channels. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, sort of, but it doesn't even really need to be that, because we all have smart TVs and it's all on the same, like, how you have a last channel, like the last button where you can flip back and forth between 2 different channels. Maybe you need to have that, but with different platforms. So you have like the last button, you click a button, you go directly from cable back to Netflix, and Netflix back to cable.
If they had the capability to, or functionality or code, however they have to write it, to to treat all the apps that you buy with connection purposes, where you can switch between the apps as long as you are authenticated for logging into those apps, because that's what you have to be, then you should have like if it's a smart TV, you can put everything in a list and say, oh, I want to go to this. I want to go to this. This game is on, and build it like a channel guide,
Yeah.
almost in a sense. And then, excuse me, be able to just change the channel when there's a game on. But the functionality is just not there.
And also, you don't need cable. Like, how many ways can you get NFL Red Zone? You don't need cable to get it, right?
Well, it used to be twice, but now that they got rid of DirecTV with the NFL, now it's only one NFL Red Zone. But I mean,
I don't know if you know the answer to that. You might not.
I'm trying to.
Actually, that's not true. I can answer my own question. If you have Sunday Ticket, they give you access to Red Zone.
Yes, they do.
So you don't even really need cable to get all the football games.
Not necessarily, no.
Because when I was in college, I used to have Sunday Ticket.
Yes. So, or you could have NFL Plus, which puts every single football game on.
I currently have NFL Plus.
Yeah. So NFL Plus is everything. That includes Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, all the Fox games. Like it puts everything in one convenient
place. Can you
place.
get Sunday Ticket or NFL Plus on a TV?
I don't think you can get NFL Plus on a TV because it's a pay model. So
no. But I mean, like, if you do have it, there's got to be a way you can put it on your TV.
I mean, you could probably screen share or screen mirror onto TV.
Like, I assume if you have it on your laptop, you can do
You probably could if you have screen mirroring technology. Then you probably could, because everything is screen mirrorable at this point. So I don't know. Do I think this deal is going to be record breaking like some of the other deals that we talked about last week? No. This is just basically them trying to corner market by putting the apps together.
Yeah, what are they? So what's the ESPN giving you? So you said you get access to SEC Network.
It's everything basically on the app. It's ESPN, ESPN2, ABC, SEC Network. It's basically a full functioning ESPN in an app.
You know what? It's a pretty and what? How about on the Fox side? What do they give you access to?
They didn't really say much. They just said
give you access to Fox Sports.
It just says it'll be a little bit different because they have never really been in the D2C business.
Well, the thing with Fox, though, is that, like, ESPN is a whole bunch of channels that some people have access to and other people don't. Like, for instance, the SEC Network. I think another one is, no joke, the Longhorn Network. I know the Texas Longhorns have.
That's owned partially by ESPN.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that started when Texas was, like, a joke. But
is that even still around? I didn't even know that was still around.
I don't know, but there is more of a reason to have a Longhorn Network now than 10 years ago.
It's no longer around still.
Okay, so they also have, the ACC Network, which is also ESPN owned. The only one of those networks that is like Fox owned is the Big Ten Network.
Well, that's the one that you and I spoke about how Barstool's getting involved with Big Ten, and Dave is Portnoy is going to be on Big Ten Kickoff. Which, by the way, and I think I said this when we talked about all this stuff, ESPN is winning this battle by far over Fox and FS1, and it's not close.
What makes you say they're winning the battle?
Exactly. All the deals they're making, I think they're doing a much better job of promotions.
I would say they're winning the battle as of now, but the whole Dave Portnoy on College Game Day thing hasn't even started yet, so we don't really know.
I still think McAfee's a better draw than Dave is.
Do you think so? I'm not so sure about that.
Well, first of all, former athlete. I think that's also a different.
I don't think anybody really cares that much about him being a former athlete.
No, I'm saying like former athletes have bigger pulls. Is basically what I'm getting.
I would argue Barstool might have a bigger audience than Pat McAfee, or at least Barstool has a bigger audience now than Pat McAfee did when they brought him on.
It also depends which audience metric you're looking at. Whether you're not really looking at his TV audience metric, because that's not really where his numbers come from. His numbers come from a digital perspective on YouTube and on ESPN's YouTube and ESPN Plus and all these platforms. For Dave at Barstool, like they're physically putting him on Big Ten Network to do Big Noon not Big Ten Network, Fox to do Big Ten kickoff. So I don't know, or Big Noon kickoff, excuse me.
Yeah,
but
Big Noon kickoff.
I'm saying a million names in my head. Anyway, but who knows if that's going to work? He still doesn't know what his role is on the show.
Well, I don't think it's going to be him every week. I think it might be rotating.
So it's mostly going to be him, and then it's going to be Big Cat on days or weeks that he can't be there.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of guys at Barstool who know college football really well.
Brandon Walker.
Yeah, Brandon Walker is another one, although he's more of an SEC guy. But I think that would be another good choice. I mean, Big Cat and Dave, I think would both be really good choices to have on Big Noon Kickoff. Now, it's possible that Fox might botch it in terms of like the organization of it. That could happen. I don't know.
I think that's clearly going to happen. I think ESPN figured out McAfee and put him in the right spot between doing his show. First of all, College Game Day has been a huge success since they put him on there. Him and then adding Nick Saban was a huge success.
A huge success before McAfee.
Too. No, I get it, but it's even grown it even bigger than I wildly could have thought.
Yeah,
like seeing McAfee like jumping up on tables, WWE style, or doing the money giveaway for the field goal kickoff, which I think is cool. Like, what is the grab of Dave Portnoy on Big Noon Kickoff?
It's the same as the McAfee grab. How is it any different? He is but like it's the exact same thing that they're doing. They're targeting the same audience. It's a very similar demographic. When you bring on Pat McAfee and you bring on Dave Portnoy, it's very similar. I mean, to say what's the draw? I mean, I would argue Fox needs Dave Portnoy more than the other way, or needs Barstool more than the other way around.
No, that's a fact. Of course they need Barstool because, again, Fox is skewing older audience. That's part of the problem. Well, also, I think it helps that Dave is on every Fox business show every time doing interviews.
Yeah, I don't know if that's why they hired him.
But I'm saying he's friendly with them already. Like
he's friendly with the company. Although the truth is, it's such a big company. They're like multiple different divisions.
No, that's true.
But I think that it's essentially the same thing. Like they hired a big personality who's really popular with the younger demographic, which is who they're trying to target. Which all the TV, I think it's like the 18 to 34 demographic,
yes.
which is what they care about the most. He's entertaining. He's funny.
There's no doubt in that.
He knows a whole lot, and he knows a whole lot about college football. I mean, at Barstool, they have the College Football Pick'em podcast, which they do every week.
Well, and the college football show they do live on,
and the college football show. So they do 2 college football shows.
But I feel like part of that is gimmicky a little bit, where I like watching it. Don't get me wrong. First of all, I'd rather watch Barstool's college football show than Big Noon Kickoff. That's just my preference. But
okay, there's your answer right there for why they hired him.
No, but I'm just saying, like, am I really going to sit and watch Big Noon Kickoff? Like, and again, Zan, don't throw rocks at me because he's a Illinois fan. So he watches.
Yeah. It is funny. It will never not be funny to me, and it will never not be not just funny, but like just absurd how much like conference tribalism there is in college football, like amongst college football fans, like Big Ten fans are like really loyal to the Big Ten. SEC fans are so loyal to the SEC. It's almost as if all the conferences are like their own separate sport.
Go ask Paul Feinbaum about the SEC network. I mean, like that guy will not pull off his bias for the SEC. Like it. Now
it's
I know
a Southern show.
No, I get it. But I'm just saying, like, they have him on Sports Center all the time to talk about other college football stories. And, like, he can't let the SEC bias go. Like, it's...
Yeah. Well, yes. Although, he's not the only one. Joel Klatt is very biased in favor of the Big Ten. Danny Cannell is very biased in favor of the ACC.
I can't stand him.
Danny Cannell is extremely anti-SEC.
He's a very smart college football analyst. Like, he's good, but he's very biased.
Extremely biased against it's so clear he has some type of agenda against the SEC.
It's true. I agree.
And I mean, in fairness, he's not the only one. There's been an agenda against the SEC on some level for many, many years. Ever since I was a child, I would say. I remember there being a lot of anti-SEC and pro-SEC bias, like a whole lot.
I mean, we talked about how ESPN bought the Red Zone name.
Yeah.
And they want to do a college football Red Zone. How are you doing that with all the conferences and all the deals you have?
Well, there used to be a college football version of Red Zone, and it was called Goal Line.
Yes.
And the thing is that it stunk because, first of all, you need to have an NFL Red Zone is a lot more necessary than college football Red Zone, because in college football, you probably have access to almost all the games. At least I do. Like if you have access to like the SEC, Big Ten, and ACC networks, for instance, you have access to every single game that matters. And by the way, the games that are on the SEC, ACC, and Big Ten networks aren't the best games anyway. So the thing is that in the NFL, the best game of that week, most people probably don't have access to it. Like let's say for instance, the Ravens play the Bills, a huge game, like a huge one of the biggest games in the AFC. There's a good chance if that you don't have access to that game. If that game's a 4:00 game, you might not have access to, or a 1:00 game, you might not have access to that game unless you have Red Zone or Sunday Ticket or something like that. Whereas in college football, you have access to all those games anyway. And the other thing is that with college football, there's a whole lot of games that are like matchups between schools that nobody cares about. It could be like a Coastal Carolina versus Mercer game or something like that.
You're talking about the games that have like 65-point spreads.
Yeah, or it's not even that, but games that like the only people watching are like degenerate gamblers or maybe graduates or fans
alumni
of those schools or parents of the players or something like that. And Goal Line, I remember, would show a whole bunch of those games too, just right on par with like the Iron Bowl and all these really big matchups. And it's like, I just don't think that works very well. Whereas with the NFL, there's like the matchups are at least somewhat more equal.
Well, first of all, in the NFL, you have fans of every sport. I mean, of every, not every sport, every team. So even for
multiple different markets.
Correct. But I'm saying you could be the most garbage team in the NFL. Everyone watches the NFL. Everyone. It's the number one most watched sport every year. And the Super Bowl is the number one watched event, period, in the NFL, or just TV wise. So it's the most watched sport. Your team could stink, but you're going to watch every Sunday. You're going to watch your team, whether it's on locally, well, not locally, whichever your package is, or whatever stream you have. Especially with all the degenerate gambling going on with the NFL, everyone watches the NFL.
Yeah.
So,
same thing with college football with the gambling.
The only difference is you can't do as many props stuff in college football.
No, but you have more games to choose from.
Yes, that's a fact. That's for sure. But we'll see how this whole thing works out. I'm not 100% buying in on it yet.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to find out. But yeah, like a red zone version of college football, I don't think there's any way that's good.
Well, ESPN owns the license now to the name, so they can do whatever they want.
They can. I just don't think it makes a whole lot of sense because you have access to all of those games anyway.
That's true.
Like, if you have access to all the games anyway, I can flip back and forth on my own. Why do I need a red zone for it?
Especially with all the apps, why do you really don't need that as much anymore?
Moving the Goalposts is presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators are going to hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience. From playing fantasy sports, rubbing your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/ETB network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. And now back to the show. So UFC made a deal with Paramount
Huge.
Huge. So this means that these matches, these UFC matches, are not going to be pay-per-view anymore. They're just going to be on CBS.
Yeah, so pay-per-view is dead, officially dead, meaning, and this was like a Dana White vehicle for a very long time. Like, let's push pay-per-views because we need to make people pay if they want to see the best content, and then we'll give fight nights and all this stuff for free. But originally, ESPN is finishing up their deal in 2025. I think it was like 5 years, 1.5 billion they were paying. This is astronomical. We're talking about 5 years, 7.7 billion. Now, we're talking an absurd amount of money, like somewhere between like 1.2 and 1.5 billion a year. Heading over to Paramount. Let me just make sure I have all this right. Beginning in 2026, the agreement is for all 43 annual UFC live events, which will be exclusively streamed in the US on Paramount Plus. The new Paramount deal will eliminate the pay-per-view model used by ESPN in its current deal with the UFC, making all events available for no extra charge in Paramount Plus, which is significant, meaning that you only have to pay whatever you're paying monthly for Paramount Plus, which is like $8 a month with commercials and like $14 a month without commercials. So you no longer have to pay extra pay-per-view on top of what you're watching.
Okay. So no more UFC events are going to be on pay-per-view or on streaming services. So like say like the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight, that would just be on CBS or Paramount Plus.
That's a different situation because that's I forgot the name of his company, but Jake Paul's company takes care of that fight and all that stuff. But just seeing the number going from 1.1 billion per year to 7.7, or totaling deal from 1.1 to 7.7 is significant. That's a lot of money to be shelling out for this type of thing. And it says UFC's full slate of 13 marquee events, 30 fight nights, which is not the numbered stuff. That's a different thing. All matches and events will be streamed in US via Paramount Plus. Selected events will be simulcasted on CBS also. Now, there's conflicting reports that all the UFC prime number events are going to be on CBS along with Paramount Plus, but they don't have that. Dana said it was for the TKO CEO, which has UFC and WWE, said it's going to be all of them. So there's still a conflicting report on that, but you're going to see more events without having to pay extra for it going forward.
But just for the UFC or just in general?
UFC.
Right. So I think like the WWE is all going to be pay-per-view.
I don't know that for sure, but what I do know is, well, WWE made a separate deal with ESPN, with Disney for that. And people are questioning, they're both the same company. Why did the UFC leave ESPN to go to Paramount? And why did WWE go to ESPN? So, like, you're flip-flopping spots.
Yeah.
Almost. But this is significant because, again, if you wanted to watch UFC numbered cards, you had to pay extra money on top of whatever streaming service you had just to watch a pay-per-view. Now pay-per-views are gone. You pay the monthly for whatever Paramount is. And I'm sure you heard that Paramount was just taken over by Skydance, which is the new company, and it's significant, like huge deal affecting Paramount, because originally Paramount was not willing to pay the money. They just wanted the fight nights. They were not going to take the UFC number cards. Well, Skydance said, no. So we're going to spend the money, and now we're going to take that over from ESPN.
Right. I guess this is just a trend of sports that previously were very difficult to access becoming much more accessible. I think one thing that hurt the UFC's popularity is that it was just so difficult to access. I mean, for me, I don't think I would ever be a big UFC fan because sports are a lot like language. It's a lot like language. Like, it's easier to pick up a language when you're younger. I think it's the same thing with sports. It's easier to get into a sport when you're younger. And at this point, I'm too old to get into any more sports that I'm already into. Like my fandom is set. Like, you're not going to get me to be a fan of another team. You're not going to get me to be a fan of sports I haven't already watched. Like, that ship has sailed. I'm not going to be a hockey fan at any point. I'm not going to be a soccer fan. And I'm not going to be a UFC fan. But this does make it much more accessible, and it's obviously very good for UFC.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I'm not going to be a hockey fan. I'm not going to be. I mean, I've watched more UFC just because I find it interesting. Well, and having Zan help me watch the UFC has helped. But what was this? I'm not a soccer fan unless the World Cup comes around, or I'll watch that. Or I'm not a Premier League fan. I'm not an English Premier League. I'm not going to watch any of that stuff because it doesn't. That's like a foreign language, like you said. I just don't get. But access is king in today's world, and getting away from pay-per-views, which is such a dinosaur process to access content when you can get content for free from a YouTube or a social media, like. They needed to get with the future.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that Dana White obviously knew that, and I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be good for UFC. I mean, another example of sports becoming more accessible, which were previously difficult to access, is hockey. Now that hockey is on ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, I think they finally realized that ESPN, because they used to be on ESPN, is just going to give them a wider reach to do things that NBC was just not providing to them whatsoever. But
outside of like the Winter Classic, like,
or the Four Nations tournament, or I mean, look at I'm trying to think, look, the NBA in that essence, like they were very small. If you remember, like the way back when the NBA finals were on tape delay, way back when
either one of us was born,
right? But my point is, like, now you can catch them on Amazon and ESPN, ABC, and NBC, everywhere. You can catch them everywhere now. They're one of the biggest sports.
Yeah, and they're huge on social media. And, like, people have been talking about like the sports bubble for a long time, but the truth is sports have just been getting bigger and bigger. Like I don't think anybody can even really argue that. Like, every single sport, I mean, some sports grow at faster paces than others, but I mean, it does just seem like every single sport is bigger now than it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Like, it doesn't even really seem close.
It's like I said, what is the number one most watched event every single year? The Super Bowl. And it's not close. Go look up the Nielsen ratings. That's an old term, by the way, or ratings or numbers, and look it up and tell me. You will not find anything close to the Super Bowl that is the most watched.
I mean, yeah, and also proof of this is look at how many sports podcasts are huge. Look at how many like sports TV shows are huge. Is there any way that like somebody like Stephen A. Smith could have existed 40 years ago? Like there's no way somebody like that could have existed, could have had the pull that he has.
Well,
that's because sports are just so popular.
The one thing I would say is it would exist, but it would have taken much longer to get to the point that he's at. Now, excuse me, that we have social media and we're able to build for ourselves. Because when we first were trying to get into this business, it was always, you needed somebody. You needed to find your way into a big company, and you need to build your way up to find a following and blah, 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 blah. Now you don't need that anymore.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore. It's similar to how, like, because everything is, and I think all of those things are good. Like, I think the lack of gatekeeping in any industry is generally good, unless you're talking about like doctors and lawyers and things like that. Like, that's a little bit different, but like for the most part, I think lack of gatekeeping is generally a good thing. It's not just like that with sports. It's like that with all platforms.
I mean, I'm sure you saw the hiring of Katie Feeney for ESPN.
Yeah.
And 14 million followers across social media. That was no accident by ESPN. I'm just going to say that now.
Obviously, you can't accidentally hire somebody.
No. But people say, why did they hire her? And I'm like, you morons. Look at her following.
She has a huge following.
Like, Donna, she's not fully. Shut up. Like, that has nothing to do with whether she's fully sports or pop culture or this. As long as she has some form of sports, that's all they care about.
And they're not hiring her to be an analyst. Like, they're hiring her to do
digital numbers
stuff. I mean, by the way, sideline reporters are not experts either. Like, they're not analysts either. They're like us. Like, that's what sideline reporters. They're like us, but they have a real ability to be sideline reporters. It's a similar type of thing. And by the way, you know how all this started? It's probably because she just started posting TikToks on her phone.
That's what I was going to get at.
For fun.
That's what I was going to get at. That because we have, and I'm jokingly going to say this, but we have access to these iPhones, we can literally make all our videos and not have to wait for a platform or someone to edit or post or do any of that stuff. Just for example, behind the scenes, the amount of videos that go up on our YouTube channel, that's me behind the scenes pulling video clips and doing it fast on the side and getting our videos out there. I mean, that doesn't take rocket science. Like, they have apps like CapCut where you can literally edit a video in less than 5 minutes and put captions in it and put pictures in it and have it ready to be posted.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in a similar way, I guess John Boy Media started in kind of a similar way.
Yes. So John Boy was a small operation. Then it opened. It was originally just baseball. Like, that's really what they've expanded since. Well, they have a deal with Major League Baseball now, but they've done NBA, they've done NFL. They have investments up the wazoo from former athletes like Dwayne Wade. Like, if you look up the amount of investments, they're huge now.
Yeah.
Like, look at Barstool. Barstool was a small situation until Dave had the opportunity to grow it out. And
it started off as just like a newspaper.
Yeah.
And they would hand it out to people in Boston.
Well, he would put it in the boxes way back when, the newspaper boxes for people to get. And then he would fake gambling sponsors to make it look like he was competing. And then he got deals and then it grew. I mean, like, that's kind of what, like, not at the same scale, but we started small. We're starting to pick up and grow into different things. And you just got to work at it. Like, does it help to have a network or something behind you to do stuff? Yes. But when you do your own stuff, like, you have more ability to control your destiny, as they say.
Right. I mean, it started way before I came around, I would say, probably.
But you're much more part of the back half of this now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, definitely. So yeah, it just goes to show you all the different, like, how much media has changed everywhere. And now I do want to, this is my favorite topic. This topic I really wanted to get to. Which NFL quarterback is Howard Stern?
You just wanted to find a way to get the Howard Stern news in there.
We didn't even talk about Howard Stern yet, which it was a little weird. I mean, it would make more. So here's what I would consider. There's a few I have in mind. My biggest, here's what I would say Howard Stern is, if he's an NFL quarterback. He's Kirk Cousins.
You know what? That's actually not a bad choice.
It's not a bad comparison. I mean, it's a little off, but it's not a bad comparison.
You're talking about someone who keeps getting paid regardless for supposed success in that regard, right?
I wouldn't say paid for supposed success. I mean, Howard Stern has had a lot of actual success.
Right, but he's gotten paid a lot because of what he is, but not necessarily getting what you're paying for.
Right. It's like, what have you done? He's being paid a lot of money for what he's done and not what he can do.
Exactly. That's a perfect way of putting it.
That's the same thing with Kirk Cousins. The difference is, I wouldn't compare Howard Stern in his field to Kirk Cousins in his field.
No.
But I mean, Howard Stern is in the radio industry is comparable to, say, Tom Brady, I would say. It would be like if Tom Brady came back and became like the highest paid NFL player. That would be like,
okay.
That would be the equivalent of Howard Stern.
Yeah, but the difference is also Tom Brady took a pay cut when Howard refused for his whole career to take a pay cut.
That's true. Maybe like Howard Stern I mean, I guess the biggest thing is that Howard Stern just became a total loser, and he
Well, no,
became.
he became a liberal.
But
You know
okay, but
what?
well, Howard Stern turned into what he would have made fun of.
Exactly. It's 100% right. Oh, I'm never, excuse me, I'm never going to get into bed with celebrities, and I'm never going to go to the snobby Hollywood parties. Dude, that's what you became.
Yeah,
Seriously.
he became all of that.
He
And
despised Jennifer Aniston and all these celebrities. What is he doing? He's friends with Jennifer Aniston.
yeah. And I mean, look, it doesn't take away from how great he was. But
I mean,
it's just
I'll give you a name I was thinking of for quarterback wise. I think he's Joe Flacco. I think he's Joe Flacco because Joe Flacco has lasted for as long as he has. He keeps getting the call to show up, regardless of his situation, and he just says, "Oh, I'll show up. Just pay me." Like that's Howard a little bit in a sense.
a little bit, but I think the difference is Joe Flacco can still play.
No,
He's still got it. He's still got it.
Yeah, but technically Howard can still be on the radio. It's the same thing.
Yeah, except I think that the reason he got fired is because it was
Well,
just.
let's clear one thing. So he's not officially fired yet. That was a lot of reports that were going out because technically his deal is not up until the end of September. So,
Oh, they're just not going to renew it? Is that what it is?
yeah, there's talks of cancellation going on. Now, I think what Sirius is going to do is they're just going to lowball him on purpose and say, "Oh, well, we offered him a contract and he didn't take it, so he walked away."
But it's like not really what happened.
Right. I mean, he's making $100 million a year of less contract. He made $500 million in 5 years. I mean, dude, you have FU money. Go away.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, it's like, where will he go? Like, do you think that he might join the podcasting space?
Even though he completely insulted it, saying that podcasts are annoying and stupid.
Yeah, that sounds like something he would say.
I mean, there's reports.
That's just this old head radio guy thing.
Well, he's talked about going to Netflix or HBO Max and doing a show digitally. But does Netflix really want that? Like, does HBO Max want that?
I don't know. They've paid for a lot of crazy stuff, so it's hard to say.
Who was the one that paid for the Friends reunion thing? Was that HBO Max?
I don't remember.
I think it was Max at the time, I think. But they paid a lot of money. They had to pay them each like $1 million or $2 million each just to show up to do the reunion.
Yeah.
So, and Howard's going to say, "Oh, I'm worth more than that crap." That's what he's going to say. He's not worth $100 million a year anymore.
No, not even close.
I mean, he could go do a podcast. I mean, Spotify would probably take him in a minute if they could find a way to make a deal. He essentially does a podcast the way he operates. He's on 3 days a week. He doesn't work Thursday and Friday. And he takes the whole summer off.
Yeah.
Think about that.
So he was only working 3 days a week. Well, taking the whole summer off. That's like every big sports radio.
No. But that's different. Like he's a talk radio host essentially, and he just said, "Oh, I'm taking off the full summer."
Yeah, and that's just being named Howard Stern that you can get deals like that.
And at one point after COVID, first of all, this is dumb, but after COVID, he's like, "Oh, I'm afraid of COVID. That's why I don't go in the Sirius studios anymore." I'm like, dude, if you just admit you wanted to do the show from home.
Yeah, that's really all it was. All right, so some more news. The Mets and Yankees right now are just in free fall. Both of them are the last spot in the wild card. The Mets currently have a 1.5 game lead over the Reds, and the Yankees only have half a game lead over the Guardians. I can't tell which team. I mean, on paper, the Yankees are in more trouble than the Mets, but I think in reality, the Mets are in more trouble than the Yankees because, I mean, the Mets are now on a 7-game losing streak.
And I think they've lost 10 out of their last 11.
Yeah, I think that's right. I know they lost 9 of their last 10.
Oh, okay. But I just knew they lost a lot of games lately. And they're inventing new ways to lose games.
Yeah, it really does. It really does seem like it.
I mean, the other day, the walk-off in Milwaukee was just you were up 6-2 and you end up losing. I mean, you bring in Ryan Hensley on when Diaz has 6 days off and hasn't pitched.
Yeah, that's another one. The question is, who would be a bigger disappointment if they missed the playoffs? Because I can't really tell. Because on one hand, you think the Mets would be a bigger disappointment?
Yes, because they spent a shitload of money in the offseason. I mean, the Soto contract should give it to you right away that they would be more of a disappointment because the mantra was, we're going to spend $1 billion in the offseason and I'm going to have an unlimited blank check for Juan Soto and we're going to make the playoffs.
Well, they didn't spend $1 billion in one season, but
No. I'm just saying.
But yes, okay, that's fair. But the Yankees made it to the World Series last year.
That's why I'm saying I don't think it would be as much of a disappointment because at least they made a long run last year.
No, but don't you think making the World Series and then not making it not even making the playoffs is a bigger disappointment?
I think the Yankees have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Mets do at this point.
I will say, now, I'm not saying this is as significant. The Yankees got rid of their facial hair policy, which I support. I think the facial hair policy is really dumb. But they did get rid of a tradition, which a lot of Yankee fans care about, because I think a lot of Yankee fans are sort of bitter clingers. You know, the all 27, I think a lot of Yankee fans like things older, like things that are older, and they like tradition because traditionally the Yankees are a good team. But in a more modern sense, they're not.
That's so dumb.
They haven't won in 16 years. So Yankee fans are like 27 rings, and that's why they want to have the facial hair policy. But the reason that they got rid of the facial hair policy, the no facial hair policy, was for Devin Williams. And Devin Williams has had a terrible season.
Don't even get me started.
I think broke Devin Williams.
First of all, you're the second person to tell me that today, just so you know. When I went to my trainer today, he said the same thing to me. But, excuse me, but Devin Williams has been a bust. He's actually a really good pitcher, but watch, he's going to leave New York. He's going to become the next big giant closer. We're in the middle of nowhere when he goes to like Cincinnati or Pittsburgh somewhere. But I don't know. Both these teams are in trouble. I think the Mets have more to lose just because of the whole Juan Soto thing. And besides spending all the money, he's just not being a good teammate in the clubhouse either. Like,
where are you hearing that?
It's just watching it. He's just not being a good person. Like, he doesn't help any of his teammates. Like, he says all the right things, but he's in it for himself. Like we all said in the offseason when he was going to make his move. Oh, he's just going to the Mets for the money. He's not going there because he wants to be in New York.
Well, everybody goes somewhere. I mean, first of all, I think that his first year with the Mets is somewhat comparable to Lindor's first year with the Mets, which is that, like, I mean, one thing about baseball is that as much of a disappointment as it would be for either of these teams to miss the playoffs, one thing about baseball is that teams can bounce back fairly quickly. I mean, the Diamondbacks were the laughing stock of baseball in 2021. And then in 2023, they made the World Series. So a whole lot can change in very short amounts of time in baseball. So, I mean, and Soto is going to be on the Mets for a long time. I think it's similar to Lindor's first year with the Mets in a lot of ways. Lindor's first season with the Mets was a disaster. Like, people seem to forget it because now he's like the de facto captain. But people forget, like, people talking about Soto, it's like, are you not old enough to remember how bad Lindor was his first year with the Mets? He was a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Lindor is not having a great season right now. I mean,
not compared to last year.
I mean,
he's making 243.
I mean, and he's making a lot of errors in the field.
And he's batting leadoff a lot of times.
That's even worse. But his defense has taken a huge hit this year. Like, he's making errors that he wouldn't have made like 2-3 years ago. And he just looks defeated at the plate sometimes.
Not only that, but thank God we have Alonso.
I mean, do you remember when people were saying, like, kick his ass to the curb?
Everybody was saying that until he hit the home run against the Brewers.
Well,
everybody was saying because he didn't have a good season last year. Met fans were all extremely
he was hurt last year too.
Yeah, for some of the season, but when he was playing, he wasn't good when he was playing.
Right. So,
And he's also, not only was he not hitting, he's not the best defensive first baseman either.
I mean, did you see that play that he made in that 6-6 game in the walk-off? Was that him at first base who made that diving play in Milwaukee to save
In
the
the
game?
playoffs?
No, I'm talking about the other day when what's the closer they just acquired? Helsley was pitching, and if it wasn't for Pete Alonso making that line drive catch at first base, the game would have been over pretty much then and there.
Yeah.
So
And
give the guy some credit.
The problem with the Mets is that they can't beat any halfway decent teams, and they're playing they're playing the Braves. They have a series at home against the Braves. The Braves are not good this year, but the Braves tend to give the Mets a lot of trouble.
They're starting to play a little better though now.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. And the Reds, I mean,
don't sleep on the Reds at all.
Well, the Reds. Well, the interesting thing is that the Reds are going to be playing the Phillies, and I'm going to be rooting for the Phillies because I don't even care about, like, is there any way the Mets end up winning the division?
No.
No. Like, in that case, we have to root for the Phillies, and that's gonna. I don't. The only good thing I could think of is at least they're getting it out now. Maybe unlike 3 years ago when they had that slump in September and October and they couldn't do anything. Maybe at least they're doing it now. And the Mets have real expectations. This is not like last season where they had no expectations and they ended up making it to the NLCS.
I mean, you had instant expectations when you brought Soto in, spending all that money, because everyone said, "Oh, Soto's that last piece they need to make it," and I'm like, "No, your pitching stinks."
That's the biggest problem is the pitching. Nobody can last 6 innings.
Well, here's the problem, and I forgot who said it on. I was watching the game the other day. Someone said, "Oh, well, Mets are forgetting that the game is more than 5 innings."
Yeah.
You got to have pitchers that go for 6 innings. You're killing your bullpen the way that they're pitching. And by the way, Kodak Singa is like a walking hospital bed. Like that guy can't stay healthy. I don't know about the rest of the Mets rotation. Frankie Montas, as Frank the Tank would say, he's been terrible. Like, I'm glad the Yankees got rid of him. Like, he's terrible. He's going to get released, I think, at some point. But I don't know. Yankees and Mets season is in free fall. If I had to put a prediction on it, I think the Mets have a tougher road to get to the playoffs than the Yankees do, because I think there's more room to get in as a wild card in the American League. Nationally, you're contending with many teams: the Cubs, the Reds, the Cardinals. It's going to be tough.
So, with the Mets, with the series that they have left, the two good teams that they're playing for the rest of the regular season are the Mariners and
that's a good team,
and the Phillies. But the other series are like the Nationals, the Marlins, and the Braves. So
I wouldn't sleep on the Marlins either. They're not as bad as people make them out to be.
I mean, look, if a team is in a bad enough slump, they could lose to anybody. Don't forget, last year the Yankees made the World Series and they lost to the White Sox at one point.
The Yankees just got swept by the freaking Marlins for crying out loud in Florida.
The Yankees. I mean, I guess it looks like a similar path. The Yankees seem to have a fairly similar type of path. They have a series against the Red Sox. They have a series against the Cardinals, who are a little above 500, and they're playing the Twins, who are above 500.
But they always beat the Twins. That's
true. The Yankees own the Twins, basically.
Playoffs or regular season, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's just a reputation that the Yankees have. I do want to talk about some of this preseason news.
Okay.
The Bengals and Dolphins played their starters in the preseason. In some of the dumbest, Mike McDaniel started all of his starters. The dumbest preseason move I've ever seen was when Rex Ryan had Mark Sanchez play behind the backup offensive line.
Yes.
And then he got injured. and then Geno Smith started. That was the dumbest preseason move I've seen. I am no fan of playing starters in the preseason. It's just an unnecessary risk that they're taking. I'm not even a fan of the preseason in general. In football, I don't think I don't think exhibition games work very well in football. I think in football, it should either be a practice or it's like a real game. That's how I think it should be. And by the way, proof of this, there's no preseason in college football.
Well, they have those scrimmages or whatever they
have
play.
Scrimmages, but they do the same thing in the NFL. I think it should just go from like training camp and you have scrimmages between two different teams, and then you go right to the regular season. We don't need to have a preseason. It's just, I think it is just a way to, I think that the preseason just is an unnecessary risk. It should all just be training camp and things like that. We don't need to have a preseason.
Well, one thing I will say is I know why the Dolphins shouldn't be doing it. I don't know why they're doing it, but
especially with Tua.
I think this makes total sense for the Bengals because Burrow's gotten off to a slow start the last couple of years. And like the whole team gets off to a slow start. Sometimes they start 0-3 and dig themselves a huge hole.
Well, that's what happened last year.
Well, and I've already gone on record a few times saying I think the Bengals are going to miss the playoffs again. But I think this makes sense to have, and I forgot who said it. I just want to make sure I get this right. But Zach Taylor, the head coach, said that the reason we put him in for some games to play is because it's just the threat of getting hit is getting him ready for the regular season.
Maybe.
And because I feel like when you don't play in some of these games, like what are you doing up until that point? You could practice and scrimmage all you want, but that's not real game action.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, the Bengals have often gotten to a slow start. I'm not really convinced that them not playing starters in the preseason is necessarily the reason why. I mean, Joe Burrow had a really good season last year. I would say he was probably the fourth best quarterback in the league last year.
Well, the defense killed them big time.
It was right. The issue was the strange thing with the Bengals is that they have one of the best quarterbacks and two of the best wide receivers. Like, is there any quarterback receiver combination better than the Bengals have?
Not really, no.
I mean, just look at how inept this organization is. They have a 5-star quarterback and missed the playoffs last year. Like, how bad do you have to be?
Well, I mean, part of it, he had injuries a little bit last year. Not that that's an excuse, but the defense was playing catch-up the whole time to the offense. Like, if you're just going to give up, if you're going to put your team behind the 8 ball every single game, like they were doing, Joe Burrow was always playing from behind in every game, so that didn't help. So the Dolphins, like I said, I who knows what the hell the Dolphins are doing. I think McDaniel's going to get fired if they have another crap season this upcoming season.
The problem is that Tua keeps getting hurt, and you can't really blame the head coach when you don't have a quarterback. You can't expect a pilot to land a plane with no wings. Like with some of these teams, it's just like with the Dolphins. I just think Mike McDaniel has a lot of bad luck. Like, I don't think he's a bad head coach. It's hard to blame him if his quarterback is hurt.
I don't know. Well, I guess you could blame the organization more than him, but
how can you really blame anybody? It's like, okay, if the quarterback is hurt, what are you going to do about that?
Well, technically, they could have said you're a liability. We're not playing you.
Yeah, they could, but I mean, like, I guess if anything, you could blame the organization, but it's hard to blame the head coach. And for me, it's just like, I know Tua keeps getting hurt, but he still is a franchise quarterback.
Well, not just hurt, concussed.
Yeah.
What do they say? He has 4 documented concussions and then another 2 or 3 we don't even know about. The guy's been concussed so many times. He's going to forget who he is at one point.
He's had this issue, by the way. He's had this issue
Alabama.
Since he was in college. I've never seen a quarterback have this type of injury problem.
We've seen players have injury problems, but not concussions at the rate he had.
Well, it's not even just that, but it's like I've never seen a quarterback from college to the pros be on a team that with him was so good that just fell off so much without him. And it's happened over and over and over again. I mean, don't forget Alabama that year, that his last season at Alabama, they were national championship contenders. They probably wouldn't have beaten the Joe Burrow LSU team, but they were right up there with Ohio State and Clemson.
Wasn't that when they had two quarterbacks also?
Who?
Isn't that when Alabama had two quarterbacks also?
No. This was Jalen Hurts was at Oklahoma at this point.
Oh. Okay.
That was the year before.
Okay.
So at that time, though, Alabama, like that the playoffs that year would have been had Tua not gotten hurt, it would have been Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson. And Alabama was right up there, but instead Tua gets hurt, and then Mac Jones plays, and then Alabama drops all the way down to like 15.
But
and things like this are happening every year with the Dolphins, it seems like. Like the Dolphins are a pretty good team when Tua is at least healthy.
Right. But you were saying also, why does the team have such a drop-off when he's not in? Because the team is built around him.
Well, every team has a big drop-off of their starting quarterback.
No, but I'm saying, like, they have to build, like, a special scheme for someone like Tua, where he's running the football a lot. Like, that's who he is. That's why he gets hurt so much.
Right. But, like, I mean, let's say for the sake of argument, Josh Allen got hurt at the same level as Tua. It would be the same thing with the Bills. You don't think there would be just as big of a drop-off with the Bills?
I just think the play scheme for Tua is such a specific play scheme that they run that it makes it harder to put in, like, a throwing quarterback when Tua's really a run, or I wouldn't say run first, but a half and half type quarterback where
so was every other young quarterback. I mean, Josh Allen's also kind of a half and half. So was Patrick.
No,
so are most quarterbacks.
I would say Josh Allen throws the ball way more than Tua does, for sure. Not even close. But Josh Allen takes off when he has to take off to avoid the sack, or he can pick up the first down. Tua will run on first down if you give him the ball. And that's the scary thing, because he will get hurt and take the hit. He doesn't know how to slide.
I think that some sounds a little bit like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like,
yes.
Some quarterbacks are running quarterbacks. I mean, and being a running quarterback is a greater risk than just being a pure pocket passer. But some are much better at avoiding hits than others. If you look at somebody like Russell Wilson, for instance, he was always very good at avoiding hits. He was always very good at sliding. He was obviously very meticulous with all of his whenever he ran with the ball. And you look at somebody like, say, Cam Newton. Well, he's just built like a truck, so he was able to get hit a little bit more because of how big he is.
He was huge. People were bouncing off him sometimes.
Yeah. So and most quarterbacks don't really have either of those. Most running quarterbacks.
I mean, look at Jalen Hurts, but the amount of workout that he does, like the tush push, like one of the most dangerous plays in the NFL at times. Like,
yeah.
What did they say? He's squatting like 600. He's squatting.
He probably squats a whole. Yeah.
He could squat a football team if you gave it to him.
I think that the difference is that, well, Jalen Hurts is also I think he's also very smart with how he plays, but also he's in a good situation. He's in a good system where, I think they're a lot smarter with it than some other teams are. Like, we all know some teams, sometimes quarterbacks' careers can just be wasted when they're on inept teams.
I mean,
we've seen.
I mean, I'll give you one. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Caleb Williams with the Bears.
Possibly.
It's very possible if they don't figure out what they're doing there.
Yeah, and it looks like that could be the case. And it also doesn't help he's in a tough division. But, I mean, look, the jury's still out with Caleb Williams and what's going to happen with the Bears. But, I mean, there's two examples that are just so obvious to me. One of them is Stafford with the Lions.
He's on the oldest side, though.
That wasn't his entire career, but it was a big part of it. And the other is Andrew Luck with the Colts. Another good example of a great quarterback whose career was just wasted on a terrible team.
Well, not that this is a terrible team, but the example I think of, what about Lamar?
He's on the Ravens.
No, but I'm saying, they can't figure out how to get to the to the end to win a Super Bowl. Like, are they going to keep? Are they going to waste his talent all these years and not win?
But that's a little different than what I'm talking about. I'm talking like Stafford and Luck. They weren't like they were on horrible teams. And the Ravens are at least contenders every year.
No, I get that.
But are contenders. Like,
no, I get it. But you're talking about like careers that get wasted, and like how many guys do we see where they say, "Oh, they have the amazing talent, they should win," and then they don't.
I guess the unfortunate thing for Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson is that they're all in the same conference as Mahomes, or that all of them are in the same. And Joe Burrow, it's unfortunate that the Bengals are in the same division as the Ravens.
Well, what's incredible about this is, first of all, to have that many amazing quarterbacks at the same time. Yeah. Like years ago, you wouldn't have this many amazing quarterbacks in the NFL. Now you're seeing more and more coming up, and you're like, oh God, I have to compete against him, and him. Like, there's no more. You're not going to see 2-3 peats as much anymore because of that reason.
Right. It's like the haves and the have-nots it's turned into, because now it's like there's more great quarterbacks, but it's also not enough to go around for the whole league. So some teams are just so far behind others.
That's why it was rare. Like if Mahomes and the Chiefs had three-peated, like that would have been rarefied air or rarefied territory.
That's part of the reason I don't get obsessed with like Super Bowl wins when it comes to comparing quarterbacks, especially from different eras. Like it would be like if you compared stats, like it's just not really totally fair because every era is just so different.
I mean, I went into this on ETV last week, but that stupid thing that happened with Johnny Manziel and Gilly from Barstool.
What happened?
Where Gilly was getting mad at Cam Newton because he said Jalen Hurts was not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now.
You think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback right now?
Name me quarterbacks.
I guess you have at least 4 that are clearly better than Jalen Hurts.
We're talking about top 5. So,
I mean, unless you put Jalen Hurts on the 5 spot, which I don't know. I think that's a little bit of a stretch.
I mean, the ones you mentioned already. So Burrow, Lamar, Allen, that's 3. Mahomes. Was that 5? How many is that?
Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar Jackson. That's 4. And I'd probably put some other guys ahead of him.
I mean, I think Hurts could be a top 5 quarterback.
I mean, arguably, I don't think he's top 5. I think he's very good. I wouldn't say he's top 5. I give him top 10. For sure, I'd give him top 10. I think top 5 is a little bit of a stretch.
But then Gilly just called out Cam Newton, and then Johnny Manziel threatened to beat up Gilly in a parking lot for going after Cam Newton.
I mean,
in a tweet.
There's probably a whole lot of guys I'd put ahead. I mean, outside, like those top 4, clearly, I would say better than Jalen Hurts. I would say, I mean, look, we don't know how each season is going to go, but I would say I'd probably take Stafford over Jalen Hurts.
Really?
I probably would. You don't think that? Wait a minute. You don't think that if the Rams offered Stafford for Jalen? Well, actually, that's not a great example because he's very old. But I mean, in terms of how good, I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I would say maybe I'd put him top 5, but I'm not so sure of it.
Yeah, but Johnny Manziel threatening to beat up Gilly in a parking lot because he didn't like what he said about Cam Newton.
I don't know about that. I can't speak to that. Yeah, so that's our show this week. We could go on about this forever.
Yeah.
But we don't have all the time in the world, and neither do our listeners. So
yeah.
Unless you have a long car ride.
Yeah, really.
So I'm Nick DiMartino. That's Nick Morgasen. This is another edition of Moving the Goalposts. So I'll see you guys next week.